Dr. Mac, how are you?
Doing good. How about you?
All right. We're both doing a little bit of shuffling this afternoon.
Yeah. It's been kind of crazy.
I'm telling you, didn't want our viewers to think that we weren't on it, but we do have some bread and butter jobs.
Yeah.
Dr. Mac runs his own practice, and I have a 9 to 5, and I'm always multitasking. Got into a conversation about that today, but we are here. Thank God, it's Friday. It's our day, and this is week 30 of our COVID-19 updates on the network live. I'm April Garner with my partner in crime, Dr. Winston McIver Jr.
Yes.
Welcome Our Primary Care. We get into good trouble every single Friday at 4 o'clock.
Go.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
There you go. You go.
Yeah. So I thank you all for being patient and of course for joining us. And I do want to extend a special thank you to the Emmanuel Nye Memorial Foundation as our destination in Charleston, South Carolina. Thank you all, Charlestonians, for being with us at 4 o'clock every Friday. And of course, that's part of Dr. Mac's heritage and stomping ground and all that other good stuff.
Yes.
And so we always open up the broadcast with Dr. Mac's stats. And we are going to go into the COVID-19 updates. And of course, we've got some pretty compelling numbers. As you all know, if you've been following the news, cases are going up. And that's not a good thing. And so we need to understand what is happening and also what we're up against, since it is, pretty much colliding with flu and cold season. And then after we do that, are you doing medical minute today?
Yeah, we'll do a brief medical minute also.
All right. So then Dr. Matt's going to do a little brief medical minute and talk about, typically we this month we've been focusing on cancer. So, he's going to share something with us today. And then we're also going to have a special guest joining us in a few to talk about a special event that's happening on Saturday. And I'm going to read some announcements for some things that are going on over the weekend, and also some things that you need to know about concerning the upcoming election. That's why I'm wearing my vote tee. Thank you so much for providing me with this t-shirt. I don't know her name. I'm gonna have to hit the vendor up. I feel like it was a gift, but it wasn't. But I just need to make sure I acknowledge who gave it to me. But nonetheless, Dr. Mac, if you will, go ahead and bless us with the stats that you have today.
Okay, so thank you, April. For those that are joining us for the first time, what we typically do is talk about the numbers from week to week, where we were last week compared to the day. And worldwide, the number of cases of COVID-19 have gone from 39.5 million to 42.3 million cases worldwide. The number of deaths have gone from a little over 1 million to right at 1.2 million deaths. In the United States, the number of cases have gone from 8.2 million cases to 8.7 million cases. And the number of deaths have gone from right around 223,000 deaths up to around 228,000 deaths in the United States. South Carolina, the number of cases are now in excess of 168,000 cases. That includes confirmed and probable. And the number of deaths in South Carolina are now right under 3,800 deaths. That's probable and confirmed. Horry County, the number of cases are over 11,000 cases. I'm sorry, in Horry County, the number of cases are 11,000 cases with about 881 probable. And the number of deaths in Horry County are 200 deaths with 23 probable. Georgetown County, the number of cases are a little over 1,900 with about 350 probable. The number of deaths in Georgetown County are 39 with 14 probable. In Marion County, the number of cases are a little over 1,000 with 62 probable. And the number of deaths in Marion County are 37 with 3 probable. Now, as unfortunately, as predicted by a number of folks in the medical community, the number of cases are going up, and it's corresponding with the weather change. We started seeing this huge increase in the European nations. that, had COVID, in excess before the United States really got hit. But then now we're starting to see this excess and trends going up in the United States as well. So we'll start off with slide number 1. So slide number 1 really looks at the past week versus the previous week. So in other words, it's looking at 2 weeks consecutively where the numbers are looking, and the numbers, there's only one green state, which means that it's gone down less than 50%, and that's Hawaii. Everything else is either gone up 50% or 10 to 50%, respectively, based off of each state that's listed here. So, right now, we're seeing surges that are happening, numbers that are going up from one week, last week compared to the week before that. So that's a very telling sign, unfortunately, of things that are likely to come. The next slide. The next slide looks at the United States versus the European countries. And as you see, the European countries have a big uptick there, but the United States is heading up in that direction as well. We never really had a flattening of the curve like the European unions did. We were still up and up, but now we're actually headed back up in the same direction that a lot of the European countries are headed. So the concern is that this curve, which is going up in the European nations, is likely going to start to continue to do the same thing in the United States. But this just kind of gives us an idea of what's going on in the European nations versus South Carolina European nation with the United States, and the European nations. Okay, next slide. So what we're looking at here is the COVID case map on the United States. And as we see, the number of cases over the past 14 days have gone up 32% in the United States, 32%. And the number of deaths in the United States have gone up 9%. So as we see, this curve is doing its roller coaster type deal, but it is on its way up. I mean, it's going up, and that's a prime example of what's happening right now in the United States and what the concern is as we approach winter. Next slide. Next slide looks at South Carolina specifically. So the number of cases over the 14-day went down 14%. The question, though, is that the number of the amount of testing has something to do with that as well, and we'll kind of follow that trend. However, the number of deaths in the last 14 days in South Carolina has gone up 30%. 30%. That's very worrisome. And the number of hospitalizations have gone up 11% in the last 14 days. That is very worrisome. So those last two, of course, the deaths, but certainly the hospitalizations, which would increase the likelihood that more deaths will happen, has gone up as well. These curves are not dropping down. I mean, they're staying pretty consistent right here that we see. And the concern is we haven't really gotten into cold and flu season yet. So I wanted to show this slide just to make sure that, the audience could understand exactly what we're seeing in the medical community and what our major concerns are right now with what these numbers and trends are doing. Okay, next slide. The next slide has to do with South Carolina. So as I said, this slide really looks at the daily reported specimens testing. And when the previous slide showed there was a 1% drop in the cases,
It's like Dr. Mack is buffering a little bit. Let's give him a second.
That line has gone down, which. Okay, we're back on.
Yeah, you're buffering a little bit.
Okay, so what I was saying was that, let's go back to that last slide real quick. As we see, the cases went down 1%, but go to the next slide. But the thought is that could be because testing has gone down as well. You see that? So on the far right, the amount of testing, that arrow is going down. So if you have less tests, statistically speaking, the likelihood is you may have less positive tests if you're testing fewer people. So that's the thought. And as these tests hopefully start to ramp up and more tests are being done, we'll get a true assessment of what's happening. We still got a positivity rate of double digits. So it's anywhere between 11 to 12% positivity rate when we need that to be definitely less than 5%. But I wanted to throw this slide in so we can be aware of how the testing is being done in South Carolina. Next slide. Okay, the hospitalization. As we see, the hospitalization around August was peaking towards the end of July, early August, and then we started having this downward slide. But as I said earlier, we have had an increase in the number of hospitalizations there. So again, that's something to just kind of keep an eye on, be aware of as we get into later in the fall and into winter. Okay, but that number is going up. Next slide. Next slide, we're looking at deaths. And as I said earlier, that was an increase in the death rate in South Carolina. These last 2-3 slides are of South Carolina specifically. So we see that that number is going up. And so again, just being aware that, we are having increases in hospitalizations in South Carolina and increases in the percentage of people that are dying in South Carolina, to make people aware that COVID is still here. It hasn't gone anywhere. And we definitely need to be on guard as we get further and further into the cold and flu season. Next slide. So now we kind of hit a few talking points. All before we were talking about contact tracing, talking about 6 feet for more than 15 consecutive minutes. However, there were a couple cases that happened in a prison of prisoners passing COVID, apparently passing COVID to security guards. And when they did contact tracing on that, they found that those people weren't, around these inmates 15 consecutive minutes, but over a course of 24-hour period, they were around them. So the new definition of contact tracing, close contact, now has gone from less than 6 feet for more than 15 minutes to now having that not just 15 minutes, but in a 15 consecutive minutes, but now in a 24-hour period. So if you're less than 6 feet for 15 minutes or more over a 24-hour period, that is considered a close contact. So I want to make that clear on the definition and how it has changed now to not just 15 consecutive minutes, but 15 consecutive minutes over a 15 minutes over a 24-hour period.
Okay. Could you make that clear for me? Because my brain is scrambling. I'm trying to put that all together.
But it is kind of worded the way that they worded it, but more or less what they're saying before. A close contact would be if you're together closer than 6 feet for 15 consecutive minutes.
Okay.
6 feet, 15 consecutive minutes. They said the same thing, except instead of just looking at a 15-minute interval, they're looking at a whole 24-hour interval.
Okay. That just changed the game, didn't it?
Right. That changed the game. And so again, that's important because you're going to have people having more inside contact. You're going to have people having closer contact, and that's part of it. But this actually came from a couple cases in a prison where they had some guards that were positive, that had been tested, and they were tested negative, but they came in contact with a positive inmate. They had not been with that person 15 consecutive minutes, but when they added it up over a 24-hour period, they were around them more than 15 minutes.
Okay, I got it
That's
now.
huge. That's huge.
That is huge.
That's huge. Okay. So just to be aware of the definition, it's not just 15 consecutive minutes and that's it. It's over a 24-hour period. Being in close contact with somebody who's positive. Okay. We clear that up. Okay. Next slide. Next slide. I threw this in because, soon it's going to become in question. Is it a cold? Is it flu? Is it COVID-19? Is it allergies? Is it pneumonia? Is it strep? And so that's why it's so important. I just threw this one in to talk about the most common ones, cold, flu, and COVID. And, shortness of breath is one of the bigger symptoms that you would see more so in COVID. And so again, some people will be asymptomatic and not have any symptoms. But if you're looking at symptoms that people would have, and you can say, well, is it the flu? Is it cold? Is it COVID? If a person has shortness of breath, it's going to not likely be flu or cold. Now, it could be pneumonia, but out of the three here, it would be most likely to be COVID. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is, I know a lot of people are talking about loss of taste and smell. I've had three or four people this week that had COVID and that were talking about loss of taste and smell. So that's one big kind of distinguisher there. A lot of times, as you see, a lot of these symptoms though overlap. And so I just wanted to kind of let people see this slide to understand these are some of the things that, physicians have to consider and will have to consider when it comes down to patients coming in to see physicians to try to figure out what it is. Additionally, like I said, strep and pneumonia and allergies could be 4, 5, and 6 on this slide too. But I just wanted to make you aware of that. Okay. That there are a lot of overlapping similarities. But there are a few that kind of stand out to be COVID, more likely to be COVID than the others. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is a concerning slide, and I wanted to make sure I put this slide in so people can be aware of it. South Carolina nursing homes had the highest rate of COVID deaths for any state when looking at nursing home deaths. Okay, so this is very, very important. South Carolina's average is 1.2 deaths per 100 residents. The national average is 0.4 per 100 residents. Very important. Let me say that again. Nationwide, that deaths in nursing homes are 0.4 people per 100 residents. South Carolina is 1.2 per 100 residents. That's almost double. And so again, the concern is that, I'm sorry, it's more than double. And so the concern is that this is a major, major problem here in the nursing homes in South Carolina. And so, again, that's more than double of the national average. So again, please, if you've got a loved one in a nursing home, please call them, call and find out what the nursing homes are doing to try to help reduce the chances of folks getting COVID, and that if they do have COVID, that, they're being, watched, checked, monitored, and those kind of things frequently to make sure that they're not holding them in the nursing home and not sending them to the hospital that they need to go. Okay. So again, since June, nursing home residents have consistently accounted for around a quarter of the state's COVID deaths. So it is very, very, very important in these nursing homes. We're more than twice the national average. Okay, next slide. Okay, so in looking at this slide, and I want to throw this in as well. This slide came from National Center for Health Statistics at the University of Washington. It was actually put on CNN the other night. And what it talked about, and I thought it was an interesting slide, there's almost 300,000 more deaths between January 26th of this year and October 3rd. 300,000 more people have died of all-cause deaths. Okay, that's significant. And out of that, 200,000 attributed to COVID-19. Now, the next slide is very telling too, because of these excess deaths. Out of these excess deaths, 54% of these excess deaths are either Hispanic or Latino. And 26, almost 27% are excess deaths in people 25 to 44 years old. So, you know, whenever we're looking at excess deaths, it does give an indirect marker of what's going on with COVID. It's not directly, because people are dying from other reasons, but some of these people are dying from heart attacks, dying from strokes, dying from kidney failure, which is related in some shape, form, or fashion to COVID-19. So I want to make that clear that, you know, a lot more people are just dying, just all-cause deaths, which directly and indirectly are related to COVID-19. Okay, so a few slides I want to put on that we just talked about. A couple more talking points that I did want to, you know, bring up. Number one, Thursday was the highest single day of positive COVID cases. There was over 77,000 COVID cases on Thursday. And the previous high was the end of July, I think July 29th, where it was around 75,000 cases. But we had 77,000 cases. The thought is, at the rate we're going, we may be headed to some days where we have over 100,000 positive cases. It's gotten so bad in some states, namely some of the Midwestern states, including Idaho, where they're actually having to send Northwestern state, they're having to send COVID positive patients out of state to different states because they're actually running out of hospital beds, running out of facilities, and those things like that. So it's here. The curves are going up, and please protect yourself. Another thing that I saw that was real interesting is, since COVID has come about, 8 million people have fallen below the poverty line. So it's taken not only a medical hit, but also certainly a financial hit as well. But 8 million people have fallen below the poverty line since COVID-19 has become an issue. Some other things as well to be careful about, you know, as the holiday season approaches, some of these airlines are now going to be opening up center middle seats. Again, be careful. Please practice safe precautions with that. You know, I understand, I get it. I guess it's finances that's involved here and that decision. But, you know, the closer you are, the more likely you are. Like I said, the CDC just changed the guidelines on what close contact is. So please be careful with traveling. Please be careful in large groups. Again, because the weather's changing, a lot more people will be doing indoor things. So be careful. Another thing, remdesivir has been the first and only drug that's been approved by the government so far for treatment of COVID. How effective it is, it's still not 100%, still not 50%. It has shown some promise, more so than anything else. Again, I'm sure the president taking it had something to do with that fast track approval on that. But again, that's the latest news. Also, Pfizer, who was kind of leading the pack as far as coming out with a vaccine, has backed up their introduction of a vaccine due to needing to do more research and studies.
Mm-hmm. The new drug that was recently approved by the FDA, what exactly is that drug designed to do?
Well, it's an antiviral medicine, and it's been used off-label for a while. So it's not like a new medicine. It's been used for a while, but it just got the approval to be on label. So in medicine, we have medicines that are used on label, meaning it's been studied for this, and it's been shown to prove that that's what it is. And then sometimes you can kind of extrapolate, well, this is a virus we're dealing with. This is an antiviral medicine. Let's try it. That's an off-label use. But once it's given approval for it, it becomes on-label. Does it mean that it's going to be, 100% effective? No. Does it mean it's going to be 75% effective? No, not really. But right now, it's the best thing that's really going right now.
And
Again,
what stage are people taking this medication? Is this for?
It's sick, folks. It's hospitalized.
Okay, hospitalized.
Yeah, hospitalized folks. Right.
Okay, so
Right.
patients in hospitals are being given this medication. Okay, because I don't want people to think, oh, I need to go and ask my doctor for what's the name of it?
It's hospitalized folks.
Okay.
Right. Because again, we're seeing more and more people that are asymptomatic. So these are for the sick folks.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, you can certainly post them in the thread, and Dr. Mack and I will surely get to them. And of course, there's a question. Paul Campbell, watching, supporting out of Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you so much, Paul. Will masking people staying at home help curb the flu this winter?
Yes, it should. Yeah. And that's the other reason why masks are so important, not just COVID-19, but also cold and flu as well.
Okay. All right. And then Jesseline Peck, thank you for joining us today, as usual, and also for pushing the information to us. She's just in agreement. She said she read an article about the airlines opening up all seats due to the tremendous financial loss. And, it is what it is. We're seeing things open across the country in different sectors and industries. Of course, hospitality industry has recently relaxed their limitations, and now they're at full capacity. And I tell you, we attempted to go eat somewhere the other night, and I basically walked in and walked right back out because the place was jam-packed, wall-to-wall people. Nobody wearing masks going in or sitting there, and my thought was, well, while you're sitting there waiting for your food, keep the mask on. You're in close proximity with the people that you came in with. I'm sure they can hear you or whatever, and just take it off when absolutely necessary. But, the restaurants are definitely, social dwellings. And so when people get there, I think they just automatically drop their guard and think, well, we're seated. We go ahead and take these masks off. But at any time, this is why people need to be extremely cautious. Someone could sneeze, someone could cough, someone, you don't know who's coming through the door, who, has COVID or, asymptomatic or whatever. So, it's just, I think it to me, it's kind of gotten a little scarier. It's like the anxiety level has gone up a little bit, especially now that we are looking at Paul's comment, especially now that we are, getting ready to butt up against cold and flu season. And I'm really glad that you shared that slide that explains the symptoms of the three, because of course, Dr. Mack, there's been always a debate about, and or at least it's the defense that most people who are skeptics about COVID-19, that the people die from the flu every year and nobody talks about it the way they're talking about COVID-19. And I don't know if you have any statistics that show exactly how many people have no air quotes, but how many people have died from the flu in the past year. But even to try and make that comparison, I think is just something that shows just the lack of acceptance of the fact that we're dealing with something that's a pandemic and not something that we're used to. As we've said in the past, something that actually has, you can go get flu shots to deal with the flu, but you can't get a shot right now to deal with COVID-19. So it's just, I hope that people remain cautious. And I know that, as we get closer to the holidays, just like you said, folks are going to want to socialize. Right now, somebody's sitting home planning their Thanksgiving dinner and figuring, how they're going to do the turkey and the stuffing and or dressing, whichever one you call it, and everything, and keep it, in the family way. But you still have to maintain a level of caution, even as you celebrate over the holidays. And I would say have limited events or, limited number of people at the events, maybe just immediate family as much as possible. Or like you've explained before, if you're going to have an event, it is now October, people need to be COVID testing and quarantining and all that other good stuff to get ready for November for Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, definitely. And to answer your question, usually with the flu, we're talking about anywhere between 25 to 35,000 deaths per year. Typically, that's kind of a number. Now, some years it'll be higher. viruses do a unique thing. Every year, a virus makes a minor change. We call that a drift. Every 5 to 10 years, it makes more of a major change called a shift. And then every 100 years or so, we have a major pandemic like we're seeing right now. So viruses change. Reason why, common cold hasn't been cured, because again, it changes its consistency, its genetic makeup, to make it difficult to find a medicine that would kind of knock it out, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to make sure that we understand that, look, this is still here, and the numbers are going up. I mean, just in another realm that I do, just even in athletics. I mean, it's an issue in athletics. I mean, you're having coaches and teams and things pop up with COVID. What we're doing at Coastal, basketball season starting, we're going to test 3 times a week. Ooh. I've gotten tested every week for the last month. And so, it's and then in between that, so I've gotten multiple tests, but certainly as football has gotten into play, being around the athletes, I'm testing, we're testing once a week. And then when basketball comes in, it'll be 3 times a week.
Right. Is it true that the tests are less evasive now?
Well, it's not like they're trying to sample the brain and
okay, like once upon a time.
so it's not as bad, but it is. I mean, it is still in there, still up there. So I mean,
Okay.
I think a lot of times too. I think a lot of times when we first started doing these tests, I think people didn't know how to really do them, so they felt like they needed to stick it, jam it way back up in there. I think that's part of the thing too. But again. As we see, I think one of the high schools where they had a volleyball team and a JV football team in quarantine, and then another school had another JV football team in quarantine. So again, and that gets back to the percent positivity. Our positivity rate is high here. So basically what that means is people are testing and people are being positive. It also means that more testing needs to be done because again, for every one person that's positive, you probably got about 6 to 10 more people that are positive and don't know it. So, again, I'm working on a few things to try and get a big testing, at least one day for the area, if not multiple dates. But a reliable source that'll have these results back in a very timely manner within 3 days. Whereas some of these people, have gotten tests done. It's taken a month, 3-4 weeks. So I'm looking at trying to partner up with a few people to do that. It's important to make sure you protect yourself because these numbers are going to go up. And again, as it stands, it could very easily be 300,000 deaths. Very easily. And I hate to say that, but again, that is a real possibility. Like I said, we had 77,000 cases on Thursday, which was the highest one-day positive count since COVID has been in our known existence. And that's still with under testing.
All right. Well, I want to shift gears for just a moment because one of our special guests for today, she has to get to a meeting real quick. So I'm going to bring on to the screen Mia Angelo, who is she's one of the organizers, Peaceful Protesters. And she's going to talk about an event that's happening really soon, I think tomorrow, as a matter of fact. And so I will get back to this COVID discussion as well. And then I have some other community announcements. So Miss Mia, hi. You're muted, babes.
Hey everyone.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you for having me, April. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. You know, you're working really hard, doing some phenomenal work, and I know that you have an event coming up, and so want to just give you the platform to talk about what's going on and what people can expect. So go ahead, do what you got to do.
Absolutely. So I'm part of a group called the Peaceful Protest, and our mission is to educate the public on racial injustices, especially as far as the Black community goes. And our thing is through creative and peaceful expression. And so with the upcoming election, our next event will be Informed We Vote. And it will be at Chapin Park. It is going to be in person, but we're taking as many precautions considering COVID as much as possible. Masks are required, but we also are making it virtually accessible for those who want to attend but are very, very cautious of COVID. So what the event entails is we are going to showcase every single South Carolina ballot member on every side, just so that voters can go to the polls informed. We don't want people to go and, just think of the vice president and the president, because there's more to that. There's more people on the local level. There's more people who will have more say as far as our every single day life. So that's the main point of the event. We're also going to be featuring some local vendors. We have Kay's Cooking coming through. We have Summer Does It All. And when I tell you she does it all, she does it all. We also have one of our own group members, which is Crumbs Brunch and Bake. She'll be bringing some things. And we'll have music, we'll have food, and it's just a great way to become informed when you go to the polls. And we also are going to be having a hula fire show featuring myself. So we'll be spinning some fire and doing some hula dancing just to keep people entertained, keep it fun, keep it lighthearted. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Informed We Vote, October 30th. It's not tomorrow. It's it's next Friday.
Okay.
And it'll begin at 6 and end at 8. We have Melissa Watson speaking at 6:30. She'll be there in person. I'm super excited. We're still working on Jamie Harrison. Hopefully he'll be in attendance, if not virtually. And again, like I said, so you will be able to catch all the information that we are showing through our Facebook, which is at The Peaceful Protest SC. So we're going to be live streaming it. We're going to be using StreamYard. Thanks to April for putting us onto that. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be lighthearted, and it's going to be educational, which is always the Peaceful Protest's goal at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Well, Mia, I think the work you're doing is extremely important, especially for your age group. And, I'm speaking to you as if you're, Dr. Max, she's only a couple of years younger than us.
Listen, I've known Mia since Mia's been in high school. Okay. I know Mia, and I tell Mia, when last time we talked, I told her how proud I am of her and what she's doing.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
I've known Mia for a while now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Mia, I'm going to share something with you real quick. I know you got to go, but I want you to really put your generation on notice. A friend of mine shared with me that she had been working with some young people. She didn't say what generation they're from, what group, but they obviously were of voting age. And she pretty much had been educating them, over the past few weeks on what to do, what to consider, how to vote, and all that good stuff. And then they go to the polls, and basically they call, and they're all excited, like, yeah, I did it, I voted. And they voted. However, they did not vote for candidates or the party that aligned with their beliefs and their thoughts. They got it all confused once they got there. I mean, she was actually just basically introducing them to the voting process, letting them make their decision, but at the same time, trying to help them figure out how to navigate it. And so what you're talking about as far as being informed is highly important, because I think that there's so much information out there, and you really can get confused in terms of, what to listen to, what's credible, who's believable, and all that other good stuff. But even when it comes down to party lines, if you align with the Democrats and that's how you want to vote, but then for whatever reason you get to the polls and you get confused and you vote for another party or whatever the case is, just as an example, that can definitely be, detrimental to what your agenda or your goal is in terms of selecting the candidate of choice. So what advice can you give to young people about how to navigate this process, and how to stay focused throughout this process as well? Because every vote counts, and the last thing that we would want is for someone to lose faith in the voting process because they voted, but then the outcome isn't always what we want it to be. But at the same time, you got to make sure you're doing your intentional part of being, staying focused and being informed when you go to the poll. So what advice do you have for the young people?
Absolutely. Number one, don't be ashamed to ask questions, because question you ask, and that's, you get your answer, and then you can easily navigate things. So I know I am still learning, and that's what I tell people. It is okay that you don't know exactly what is happening. It is a process. They make this complicated as it is intentionally. So to recognize that, and to not be ashamed to ask questions, not be ashamed to be a part of the process, and then to recognize the importance of being informed. So I would say, if you're especially along my age, come to our event or tune in online, get informed of every name and what they stand for. Don't just pay attention to R&D. You know what I mean? Learn, this person stands for this, and they stand for this. They're against this. It's really about educating yourself. That's the main advice I can give. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't feel ashamed that you're not fully informed on the process of voting, because especially if you're a young person of color, they make it hard for us to learn it. So yeah, just ask questions and do your research. But our event, we're cutting that research out for you. We're going to do the research and tune in to us and really learn. That's the best advice I think I can give about that.
Well, I think it's excellent advice. And just like you said, we're certainly not here to tell you who to vote for. I'd like to think of this platform as being nonpartisan. We all have our preferences, and we have invited everyone who, from different parties to come on and talk, not only on this particular platform, but also with More Community Magazine. But when it comes down to making the choices, there's so many options out there. The candidate platform is the only way that you're going to really understand what you're voting for. And you should not follow party. You should follow the person, because they could switch parties on you in a minute. Okay. They could switch parties faster than Fast and Furious can switch lanes. So, basically find out what they are, I guess, supporting or trying to defeat in terms of issues, policies, bills, practices, and all that other good stuff, and just educate yourselves. And so, that's why this work that you're doing is so important. And I know that the work that you're doing started out as a result of, what happened with George Floyd earlier in the year. And I'm glad that it's, gained some other legs and other elements to it, because this is definitely a part of how you're going to push policy change. You got to get them to the polls to make sure they're voting for the right people, and also educate them on the things that they need to think about or consider as they are reviewing policy, and as you all are trying to make those make the shift. So Mia, thank you so much for joining us today. I really do appreciate it. And if you need anything, just let me know. And you can, of course, be sure to post your flyer to the network so that everyone can see it, and I'll be more than happy to share it. But in the meantime, I'm just going to kind of post it up real quick as an overlay over us. Okay. So Informed We Vote, October 30th at 6 p.m., a nonpartisan event showcasing all candidates on the South Carolina ballot. And that should be important to everyone. Keynote speakers, hula fire. You sure you don't need any help with that hula fire? I'm going to volunteer Dr. Mack.
All right, come on. I'll teach you how to do it. I'll get you the little skirt and everything.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, but for real, it's super cool. We had the fire knives, and we light it on fire and we spin it, and it's a super cool experience. So if you've never been able to go out to Hawaii or any part of Polynesia, you can come to it right here in Myrtle Beach. So come out, and we'll be also showing that virtually through Facebook. So it's a free show. Come through. Thank you so much for having me. It was nice to see you, Doc.
Yes.
Yeah. And I love what you're doing with this, April, too. This is awesome. This is exactly what we need. And I have a feeling this is not going to be the last time that we collaborate with something.
Ma'am, absolutely not. We have got to make it happen. And so just make sure that you keep me informed of everything. Absolutely. And I'll reach out as much as possible to you as well. But, peace and blessings to you, and you guys be safe. Okay.
Love. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
All right. You're welcome. Bye-bye. All right. So Dr. Mack, you say she is a superstar. I'm telling you,
I've known Mia since she was in high school, and I talked to her when she was really getting moving after the George Floyd incident, and told her how proud I was of her and what she was doing, and that just to keep up the good work. So I've known her for a while now.
All right. Yeah. Well, I also have some other information about some things that are coming up, and just want to share some of the thoughts. I see so proud of, and I want Mia, I hope you're seeing this, but it says so proud to see young people out pushing this movement. Thank you, Mia. So you got the community rooting for you. And I know that Coretta Smalls is a good contact to have too. So you may want to reach out to her. She works a lot in the Burgess community, I believe it is. And we got to make sure this thing is across communities, not just in Myrtle Beach or Conway or Bucksport or whatever the case is. We have to reach across our region and across our state and even our country if we can. So thank you so much, Coretta, for joining us today and for sending those words of encouragement to Mia as well. We didn't even allow Mia to tell a little bit about herself, did we? Oh, well.
No.
Someone is asking for that. Mia, you have a minute?
Is she still there?
I'm gonna put her back on. Yes, somebody's like, give us a little about me. Hey.
I was about to tell what I knew. I only know good things.
Don't let anybody tell your story. Tell your own story now. You never know how to turn out. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm Mia Angelo. I grew up here in Myrtle Beach. I graduated from Socastee High School, played varsity basketball all 4 years. I went and played college basketball at Catawba College for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. Decided to come home and go to Coastal, finish out my psychology degree. I'm officially a psych graduate from Coastal, so I graduated this August. And I'm currently actually the activist in residence at a high school. Definitely blessed to be in that position. It just kind of one thing happened after another, and I never thought I'd be working in a school, but it turns out the universe, that's exactly where and what I should be doing, working with young people. But yeah, that's all I can say about myself. I'll be happy to answer any questions. You can follow me. So unfortunately, all of my social media got hacked through Facebook, and Facebook wouldn't let me create new whatever. But yes, Shant's up. Once a brave, always a brave. Yes, I think me and Coretta need to get together. I think that is the universe. But yeah, so you can follow me. The Peaceful Protest kind of has 2 pages. So we have a profile that I use as myself called Peaceful Protest, and that's separate from our actual group page, which is the Peaceful Protest SC. So if you'd like to get in contact with me personally, you can follow Peaceful Protest. But yeah, that's all I got on myself. Any questions?
Yes, if anyone has any questions, now's the time to ask before she has to get on to her next meeting. She's busy.
Very talented young lady.
Yeah.
Singing, guitar.
Oh, you mentioned it already.
Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, I play a little bit of guitar. I'm just now getting comfortable singing. I'm not Beyonce or anything like that, but I enjoy singing. I love to sing to inspire other people who might be the next Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I love to sing, play guitar. I have a dog. His name is Zazu, after Lion King. Hopefully we start his service dog training next Tuesday.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I want to be able to bring him to school with me, to see the kids and nursing homes and stuff. That's the goal. Yeah, I'm not very good at talking about myself. So.
Well, you did a good job though.
Once you get, you said Yazoo?
Zazu.
Zazu, once
There
you
you go.
get Zazu trained, let me know, and I'll have some leads for you for some facilities that you may be able to go into.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I love that. You know, I got him for the intentions of making him a service dog right off the bat.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for popping back in, Mia, to share some information about yourself. We really do appreciate it. And good luck with you. Good luck to you on the event. And again, just reach out to us if you need anything. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Bye.
All right. No problem. All right. And so also joining us today is another great surprise, someone that I've had the pleasure of meeting and working with in higher ed as well. Ms. Caitlin Clay. How are you doing? I think you're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you now. How are you doing?
Perfect. I'm good. How are y'all? Hey, Doc.
Right. Yeah. So do you know Dr. Mack?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. And how do you know Dr. Mack?
Probably back starting at Coastal when I was playing basketball. That's when I first met Dr. Mack.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So tell us a little bit more about yourself as well.
Well, so I played basketball at Coastal for 4 years. I finished up there in 2014. And I stayed in the area. And actually, I just finished up a program at Tech, the digital arts program. And I'm out at James R. Fraser Community Center, and I assist Miss Betty Goss here with the programs and what we have going on out here. So
absolutely. And speaking of programs, you all have a couple of great events coming up, and one is a health and wellness fair, and then there's also a breast cancer awareness week event. So I reached out to Betty and said, hey, can you get someone to talk about these events, so that everyone knows what's going on. So Caitlin's going to explain what's happening. Okay.
Yeah, so we have several events happening these next couple of weeks. So beginning actually tonight, the Association for the Betterment of Bucksport, they are hosting a movie night out here on the tennis court and out on the baseball field area. They will be showing, I can't remember the movie tonight, but they're showing Harriet tomorrow night, and both of those are at 8 p.m. They will be having concessions, and it's $5 per car. And then the next event, April mentioned the breast cancer walk. That is tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. It's a free event also. We will be having door prizes, food, all that good stuff. We'll probably walk about a mile to a mile and a half. We'll do the walk first, and then we'll return back to the center. We'll eat, and we'll do prizes and all that good stuff. It's just to bring awareness to the Breast Cancer Month, to celebrate survivors and just to remember the people that we've lost to breast cancer, or any cancer for that matter. And then following the breast cancer walk, there's also going to be a food drive distribution. There'll be, sorry about that. There'll be a food drive distribution beginning at 10 a.m. And that is also through the Association for the Betterment of Bucksport. And that'll run until we run out. Typically, it's about a couple hours, give or take. And then they will be showing another movie tomorrow night at 8 p.m. That's Harriet. Tonight it's Emperor. I couldn't remember what it was, but it's Emperor. And then next weekend is a new event that we haven't done before in the past. It's a kind of a new campaign that we decided to kick off. It's called the Healthy Lifestyle Community. It's really just a campaign to motivate people to get out, to get moving, to eat better. If that's walking, if it's working on reducing your blood sugar, your blood pressure, and getting your diabetes under control, having different information for that. So kicking that off will be next Saturday, the 31st at 9 a.m., we will have a health and wellness fair. Sorry, we'll have a health and wellness fair here at the center. And that's at 9 a.m. There will be Care Team Plus. DHEC will be here, and they will be doing blood pressure screenings, glucose screenings, and they will have an area to do private rapid HIV testing. So that was a lot of information in a really short amount of time. But
well, it just means that you guys are extremely busy. And you know, Caitlin, of course, the work that you all are doing down in Bucksport, we know that Betty Gauze is a powerhouse. She's a workhorse, and
yeah,
you know, there's a lot of amazing things down in Bucksport, and you know, using the James R. Frazier Center in a very efficient way to you know, create programs and opportunities for the residents of Bucksport. But you know, what we want people to understand is that it isn't just for Bucksport. I mean, anybody can come out and participate, and you know that, right?
Yeah, of course. The more the merrier. I mean, I think that you know, my husband and I, we talk all the time. Before I started working here, I did not know that this community center was here, and I'm so thankful that we found this community of people in this center. I think there's just so much out here that you know, to offer to the community in Horry County, everyone in Horry County.
Absolutely. So of course, Betty is peeping from somewhere. She says, "Go, Kate, thank you." She looks like she's out shopping for the events and says she's proud of you. So thank you, Betty, for everything that you do. We're going to get her on here one day to talk, but she's always so busy. It's hard to hold her down. But I just want to give you all the opportunity because I'm constantly seeing events and the information, and anytime you want to promote any of the events, and you know, we could do these little quick bites or whatever, just so you can let everyone know what's going on, you're more than welcome. I'll also tell William I said hello.
I will.
Yeah,
I will.
Absolutely. You know, kind of miss seeing him around campus, but you know, we're all in COVID land now, so we don't get to do that as much. But just thank you so much for being here for just a few minutes. I know you got to get back to work, but while you're sitting there, I'm going to flash some flyers for the events that she mentioned. Okay, so we'll start with Emperor, which is tonight at 8 p.m. Admission is $5, and you can enter for a chance to win a 43-inch Roku Smart TV. Tickets are $3 for 5 and 1 for 1. I'm sure all proceeds go to the James R. Frazier Community Center. Again, a very essential part of the Bucksport community. And then, of course, we have for the 24th, it's the drive-through style food distribution. That is happening at 10 a.m. at the James R. Frazier Community Center. There's no cost to participate. So if you want to come out and get a food box, it's first come, first serve. And that event is sponsored by the Association for the Betterment of Bucksport and Spokes of Hope. Then there's the Breast Cancer Awareness Walk that she mentioned, which is also happening from 9 to 12 at the community center. And of course, on the 31st is the Healthy Lifestyle Community Health and Wellness Fair, a free event, health screenings, food, Zumba, inflatables, all that good stuff. And that's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. as well. So I'll be sure to post all of this great information to the network, and I'll also put it on our website. And Caitlin, is there anything else you want us to know, or how can any members of the community be in touch with the James R. Frazier Center if they have any questions?
Yeah, so all of our information is on those flyers, our contact information. Also for the Healthy Lifestyle Community, there is a website that people can go and there's other resources to, like I said, help with healthy living, food, fitness. I can send that to you so you can post that in the network. And you can go on there and you can join the community so that we will have future events for Healthy Lifestyle Community. We want to try to do some cooking demonstrations, eating healthy on a budget. We want to bring some more vendors out so that they can talk about just how to live healthier. So yeah, that's about it.
Well, thank you so much. That's a lot.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I know.
we certainly do appreciate all the hard work you're putting in. But anytime you want to come and hang out with us, just let me know.
Sweet. Thank you so much
All
for having me.
right.
All
Take care.
right. Take care.
All right, see y'all.
All right. Okay, Dr. Max. So lots going on in the community.
Oh, yeah.
And just want to make mention as well that there's I don't know if we know in Horry County, but you can vote this weekend. Saturday voting. Absentee, in-person ballot. Registered voters can vote in-person, absentee this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and next Saturday, October 31st, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Horry County Voter Registration and Elections Office. That is located at 1515 4th Avenue in Conway. So, I know sometimes it's difficult for people to get off of work or find the time during the day, during the week to go to the voter registration office if they need to do absentee ballot. Now you can do it on Saturday for the next 2 Saturdays. So, hey, I mean, they just keep creating options, no excuses, right? Vote,
Right.
vote. So make sure you get out there. And I was downtown a little bit earlier before the broadcast, and I think every day that I've passed the voter registration office in Conway, the line has been wrapped around the building. And, that's great. That means everybody is participating in the democratic process. Everyone's getting out to vote for whatever reason. It's highly motivated to do what they have to do for this election. And November 3rd is right around the corner. So we're less than 2 weeks away. And so make it happen. And now you have Saturday voting at the voter registration office that can help you with that. So also, if you need more information about other locations, now remember, this particular information is for the Horry County Voter Registration and Election Office here in Conway, 1515 4th Avenue in Conway. There are other in-person absentee voting locations. The North Strand Recreation Center, the South Strand Recreation Center, and the Carolina Forest Library are also places where you can cast your in-person absentee vote. However, they are not listed for Saturday voting. I'm unsure of that, and I can double check as to whether or not they're doing it. But it sounds like they're really concentrating on the voter registration office in Conway for the Saturday voting. So if anyone knows whether or not you can vote in-person absentee at any of the other locations, please put it in the thread, and I'll be sure to mention it. And of course, every week we want to let you know, leading up to the election, that if you sense or see anything that is outside of the norm when you're voting, or if you feel like there are any issues or challenges, you can call the South Carolina Voter Protection Hotline, 855-785-0222, and let them know. They will investigate and get down to the bottom of the problem if there is a problem. Hopefully we won't have any problems. Don't start none, won't be none. Okay. So we're all just trying to do our civic duty and vote. Our right to vote. So anyway, let's see if we have any comments. Boy, everybody's excited about Mia. Mia considered running for office, and I don't know if she's still watching this, but yeah, she would be great. Interestingly enough, in the past couple of days, Dr. Mack, there's been a couple of young people who've talked about stepping up to the plate. They want to be mentored and groomed for government offices and county councils and city councils and all this other good stuff. And I think it's wonderful. So I'm gonna have to connect them with some people that I know in places where they can make it happen.
There you go.
Yeah, because we need the leadership. We need, need the leadership. So, but anyway, now, if there are any other announcements, I will make them after we kind of revisit Dr. Mack's medical minute and any other information he wants to give us on COVID. So, Dr. Mack, let's get back to the medical minute. Okay. And again, for those of you who are just tuning in, typically Dr. Mack gives us the COVID-19 update, and then he'll give us, we've started this month with a medical minute, and we're focusing on cancers this month. So Dr. Mack, go ahead and do your thing.
Okay, well, I'll keep this real brief, and it will kind of morph into some more things later on. But kind of along the same lines of what we were talking about last week as far as risk factors for cancer. The biggest thing in medicine that we try to work on is what we call modifiable risk factors. In other words, things that we can do ourselves to help reduce the chances of cancer. There's some cancers that are non-modifiable, which means that's a part of our genetics. So whether it's something that's family related or what have you, that's a non-modifiable. But a modifiable risk factors are things that you can change. And it's believed that, cancers and modifiable risk factors, things that we can change ourselves, are associated with 42% of cancers and 45% of cancer deaths. Some of those modifiable risk factors include tobacco, excessive weight, unhealthy diets, sedentary lifestyle where we're not exercising much. But tobacco use is the most common preventable cause of death in the United States, tobacco smoke. It's associated with at least 12 different types of cancers, ranging from oral cancer, intestinal cancer, bladder cancer, kidney cancer, uterine cancer, and those kind of things. So just be aware that tobacco smoke is the most preventable cause of death. It's also associated along those lines of modifiable risk factors that 18% of all cancers are attributed to obesity, alcohol, sedentary lifestyle, and unhealthy diet. Again, 18%, almost 20%, almost 1 out of 5 cancers are associated with obesity, alcohol, sedentary lifestyle, and unhealthy diet. Additionally, because we know this area is very high in diabetes, uncontrolled diabetes also plays somewhat of a role in cancer and getting cancers. We're not quite sure exactly the mechanism behind it. The thought right now is that it is associated with inflammation, which diabetes is an inflammatory type condition as well, and that could possibly be the link with cancer. But a couple things just briefly before I finish up on here is cancer screenings. So we're talking about breast cancer screening. I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we talked about breast cancer. Starting at the age of 40, women should look at starting to get mammograms consistently after the age of 40. Again, that's an individual thing that you talk with your physicians about as to when you stop getting mammograms, but certainly starting at the age of 40 and sometimes earlier if there's a family history of breast cancer, to look at that. Another thing is cervical cancer screenings, pap smears, HPV testing, which should be pap smears should get started either at the age of 21 or when the young woman becomes sexually active. Okay, so hopefully that sexual activity will be once they get married, but again, 21 or when they become sexually active, getting pap smears and HPV testing on the cervix. Now, how frequent to get it, when to stop getting it, that really has kind of come under some scrutiny as to how frequently these things should be obtained. That's something that you'll need to talk with your physician about as to the frequency of getting these cervical cancer screenings. Other screenings, of course, include colorectal cancer, looking for colon cancer. That should be started. It was initially at the age of 50, but now there's a big push to look at age of 45 and sometimes even sooner if there's some symptoms that would warrant that. Colonoscopy is the gold standard, where you actually take the scope, look inside the intestines, looking for any abnormal areas such as polyps, any kind of growths, or any kind of irregular looking areas. Also, there's something called a Cologuard, that if you're a candidate for that, you actually just put a specimen into a box, into this box that's dropped off to you by UPS. You send it back, and it's looking for particles of polyps and trying to find out what kind of polyps it is. So that is another option. Another thing is lung cancer screenings. There's something called a low-dose CAT scan, where people between the ages of 55 and 74 who have at least a 30-pack year smoking history would be someone that would be looked at is getting this low-dose CAT scan, which is more sensitive than a chest x-ray for picking up early cancer growths as well. And also prostate cancer screening, which we recommend starting to get at the age of 40. and sometimes earlier if there's a family history of prostate cancer. Just as an additional note to what we're saying, factors that can influence health, certainly socioeconomic status. The concern is that there are a lot of people that, are uninsured, are underinsured, and they actually have issues getting to physicians. Please don't let that be a reason why. Please contact the physician's office, see if they can work something out with you as far as a payment plan, a payment schedule, what have you. But please, you should get checked at least once a year. Okay, at least once a year. Also, access to health care along those same lines. We know people that don't have health care are more likely to have disease and death related to untreated or undertreated medical conditions. So that's very important. One of the big important things that most physicians love about the Affordable Care Act, or as it's called, Obamacare, is that it does, not to be on a political soapbox, but it does give access to those who otherwise did not have access to healthcare in general, but certain other preventive type evaluations. So please be proactive about your health, things that can reduce some of these disparities that we're seeing amongst racial groups. Early prevention and early detection. That is the number one way to control, to help, prevent these cancers from being these death-causing entities, is early detection and prevention. So please be proactive with your health. If you don't have a physician, please find one. If finances is an issue, please talk to that physician about trying to work things out to see what they can do. But if you're not proactive about your health, it's going to be hard for others to do so.
And you're right about that. And that's why it's not only important just to make sure that you're getting your regular health screenings and checkups and, making sure everything is on the up and up, but following the developments with policies and, your rights in terms of medical health coverage. And it's important to understand those issues as well before you go to the polls, because there are definitely some challenges that we all face as citizens. And, you can't take for granted that it's always going to be there, especially if you have a pre-existing condition. And I don't know too many people who don't have some kind of pre-existing condition, that they're being treated for.
Well, but the concern is that, if the Affordable Care Act is overturned, nobody knows what the alternative is. There hasn't been any kind of production of any information really to say what the alternative would be. The major concern is these young folks, who are under 26 years of age, who get kicked off their parents' insurance. The other issue is pre-existing issues.
Right.
And, the concern is that these insurance companies don't like pre-existing conditions. And that's just the bottom line. And so if you have a politician that's catering to that, that can create a lot of problems for a lot of folks. As I said early on, 8 million people have fallen below the poverty line. And that poverty line is considered a family of 4 making less than $28,000 a year in that household. Less than $28,000, a family of 4 in a household, a family of 4. Below 28,000 is considered below the poverty line.
And you all heard him. He said household income, not individual income, household income.
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
So, that's a concern. It's a concern that right now there's still lots of folks that are underinsured and uninsured.
Yes.
And now if you stop this, it's going to be even more. The fact that these states, certain states, including South Carolina, didn't expand Medicaid, made it to where a lot of women, infant, and children were actually not eligible for Medicaid. The state had an allotted amount per person for Medicaid. The government said they would match it based off of certain stipulations and requirements each state was supposed to do. South Carolina did not comply for political reasons, and hence Medicaid was not expanded in South Carolina. So what happens is you have people that should be insured on Medicaid are not, because there just wasn't enough money to go around. So hence some disabled folks, young and old, got put off of Medicaid. Women, infant, children got put off of Medicaid that should be on. And so it's I could talk about that for hours. Because it's what I do every day. It's what I have to deal with every day. I have to find a medicine that this person can afford to take. Even though it may not be the best medicine, the optimal medicine, I got to give them what they can afford. And so again, you know, it's so important for people to understand that. It's so important for people to go out and vote. And again, without getting too political right now, we're looking for the best candidate. We're not looking for the perfect candidate. Almost any politician there is has probably made some decision, some vote that they can go back on and say, I wished I would have voted differently. For whatever reason, they voted that way in the first place. But right now, we're looking for people that can help the masses. We're not looking for people that can help the 1%. We're not looking for the people that can help people that make above a certain amount per year, because those people are going to be all right regardless. We're looking for the people who are the masses, who are getting by day to day. And so that's the important thing, because it makes my job so much easier if I know this person has an insurance plan that'll be able to get the medicine that I want them to take. Not being forced to take some medicine that is probably not going to be as effective in what it needs to do, or as efficient in what it needs to do.
Exactly. That's right. And you know, it's unfortunate when you think about everything you just said, because we live in the United States of America. We are perceived as the most powerful country in the world, and a leader, and yet we don't have any measures in place that pretty much take care of us in a way that is not about a political debate, position, or agenda. Everything you talked about there shouldn't be a question about what needs to be done, and how citizens of the United States should be covered. And yet, you know, we have to go to the polls every 4 years to decide who's going to continue protecting us, or, you know, who we need to get rid of, who's not. So,
and again, that's the bottom line. I mean, am I concerned about somebody who did something in 1973 or voted somewhere in 1973? Yes, I am. But I'm more so concerned about what I'm hearing right now and what implications it can have financially, medically, the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Matt, like you said, it's real easy to get on our political soapboxes, but we're going to take a little shift. And one thing that we can say that's positive that's come out of government, at least South Carolina government, is the SC CARES Act, which has created a program for minority and small business grants. And it's a relief program for those businesses that were affected by COVID-19. Last week, we actually had Brenton Brown from the South Carolina Commission on Minority Affairs as our guest, and he explained the rollout of that program. The application went live on this past Monday, and I can tell you, because my name is listed somewhere as, I guess, kind of like a resource for information, that people are interested in these grants, and they should be, because it's grant money. It's $2,500 to $25,000. Money that you do not have to pay back if you are eligible to receive it, to assist you with your businesses. And so I was able to track down a colleague of mine to come here and talk to us about these grants. Governor McMaster was actually here in Myrtle Beach a few hours ago talking about these programs. And so I'm going to bring on the stream Mr. Tim McCray. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Doc and April? How y'all doing today?
We're fine today. How are you?
All right, just busy running, and just excited about this great opportunity that we have here in South Carolina.
Absolutely. So Tim, before you get started, I know a lot of people have seen you in terms of like, community activism and things like that. And of course we call you Rev too, so you have a couple of assignments as well. But I don't know that people really know that you are also with the South Carolina Commission for Minority Affairs. So why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and also about your work with that commission?
Well, thank you, April. I've been here for almost 20 years here in
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina doing a lot of community work. This is nothing new to me as a community developer from New York to Atlanta, and now here in South Carolina, in Myrtle Beach. But was hired on with South Carolina Commission on Minority Affairs in December of last year as their community outreach coordinator. And Commission on Minority Affairs, we cover not only just the African American community, but the Native American, Asian, and Latino. And so I go around the whole state and addressing different issues that affect our communities. So that's something new. That's a new hat, as you say, of mine. So with that job function, we definitely reach out to small minority LMI communities, low moderate communities, and small minority businesses to help them and give them the services that they need here in South Carolina.
All right, Tim. And so what we have going on right now, of course, are these grant relief programs. And I should say it's a grant. Yeah, it's called a grant relief program. And it's for minority, small businesses. And then there's also a nonprofit segment that can take advantage of a separate program if you are a nonprofit organization. And so this rolled out on Monday. So can you shed some light on what people are experiencing, how the grant works and all that other good stuff, just in a nutshell?
Well, basically, this is a great opportunity for those that could not receive the PPP funds from the federal government. South Carolina was awarded about $40 million towards this small business release fund right now for small businesses that have been in existence since September the 13th of 2019 to this present time, that have been dealing with some hardship through this pandemic. And this grant basically for the small businesses start from $2,500 to $25,000. And then with the nonprofit is from $2,500 to $50,000 for the nonprofits for them to apply. So this is a great opportunity for those that wasn't able to apply for the PPP loan. They could go and apply for this grant. And this grant is, they don't have to pay it back. This is a grant that is given out to these agencies or these small businesses to provide these services and that have some hardship through this pandemic.
Exactly. And so what I want to bring up on the screen, Tim, real quick, just so people can understand where a lot of this information is located, if they have any questions or they need an assistance, I'm going to pull up the Commission for Minority Affairs website and just kind of scroll through that for just a second. So I just want to make sure that everyone can see it. And yeah, great. Okay. So on this website right here, and I'll explain it because I've had to explain it to a couple of people who've called or, sent me emails asking for help or assistance with this. And while I'm not here to help you complete the actual application, I can direct you to the resources that will help you. And also Tim is a resource as well. He can, tell you a little bit more about the grant because he works with the commission, but also direct you to the appropriate persons or the hotlines or whatever that you need. So if you go to the website, basically you'll see a what's trending section. And under that what's trending section, there's plenty of information about grants. So one very interesting piece to this is this webinar. And I'm not going to click on the webinar, but you can see the webinar link. And basically this webinar is a 1 hour long webinar, which actually explains what the grant programs are all about. And then also it takes you through an exercise where you're filling out this calculation worksheet, basically. And I don't know if this is coming up. I'm just kind of clicking through or whatever, but no, you can't see it, but on my side. But anyway, when you click on the calculation worksheet, it shows you the actual, relief grant worksheet, the information that you need to complete as far as identifying your business. And you have to list other aid that you've received, including the PPP or Paycheck Protection Program, the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Relief Loan, or any other type of COVID grant funding that you received. So you input that information. You need to have information about your monthly gross revenues, and that's 2019 versus 2020. So in other words, you need to pull your paperwork together. Okay, pull together your receipts, and you need your receipts from September, right, Tim? From
Yes.
September, from September 2019 as a snapshot, and then of course versus 2020. So basically, that's to show revenue loss. What you made in 2019 and what you have made so far in 2020, and the differences. And there's even a section on this worksheet that kind of helps you to understand what you're filling out. Then you have to pull together your qualifying expenses, and there's information about what these expenses would possibly be. So your staffing costs, your cost to operate, your facility costs, and then anything else that's associated with that. So again, you have to pull your information together, your paperwork, your receipts, your bills, your invoices, anything that can show your expenses that are related to business, and then also statements that show your revenue. And then from there, as you go through, the Excel spreadsheet will calculate what they need to see in terms of this actual worksheet. And from there, you can enter in the information onto the online application. So the reason why I wanted to make sure to mention the website is that, and I'm going to say this as nicely as possible. People are calling, and they want help with filling out the application. They want to know how to get started. And the best way for you to really understand it according to your situation is to make sure you're using the resources that are provided. I'm not going to be able to know exactly what is supposed to be on your application. Tim won't know. We can't tell you what to put on the application. Only you can determine what you should place on this application. And also, you have to take the time to go through the process. All of this is a process, okay? It's not anything you can just sign your name and somebody hands you a check. That's not how it works. You definitely want to make sure that you have everything together, showing that you are a legitimate business and that you have had some losses due to COVID. And I think one thing that I learned from the webinar is that there's a question about establishment of the business and whether or not the business needed to be like in full force when COVID happened or at the point of registration. And I believe the webinar explains that they look at the point of registration. So that means that, for example, you probably established your business in, let's say it was early March, and then COVID happened, and then you couldn't open the doors. So you probably won't have any 2019 data that you can use, but you want to ask the questions as to whether or not there's something or some kind of relief out there that can help you if you were just opening a business and then COVID happened and derailed you. But go to this website and take the time to review the webinar. They have a FAQ section that has the frequently asked questions that people are already asking and things that you probably will ask. How can businesses use the grants? How they're distributed? How the applications are evaluated? All this good stuff. And then attempt to do the calculation worksheet. And then at that point, if you need some assistance, then you can contact the South Carolina Commission for Minority Affairs. Tim, is there a hotline number? I thought there was a hotline number.
Yes, there's a hotline number, 803-670-5170. Okay. And that's the South Carolina Care Call Center.
There you go.
And plus, again, April, we partner up with South Carolina Small Business Development Center. Mm-hmm. And so you can reach out to Small Business Development Center, and they have given you technical assistance and helping you as well. This is the first time I have seen a grant opportunity like this, so simple.
Right.
It's so simple, as you just stated, going to the webinar, going to the site, and people just got to go and apply and go through the process. Mm-hmm. And we have help out here, again, with Small Business Development Center around the state. They cover 46 counties. They here in Georgia and Horry County and Georgetown County.
Is that the what Janet Graham is connected
Janet
to?
Graham,
Okay, she's an excellent resource. Yeah.
Yes, her team would definitely be helping out with those who might need some technical assistance. But guys, this is a great opportunity for us, and we don't need to miss out on this opportunity because other folks is taking advantage right now today.
Yes. $40 million, right?
$40 million.
$40 million
for the small business, and $25 million for the nonprofit.
For the nonprofits.
And
so, yeah.
And today was the last press release that the governor was doing. He went all around the state. We've been with him in 5 different areas. Today was the last stomp that we're calling it. We got 10 days left, guys. So we want to get the message out there to our community. Make sure that you apply.
Absolutely. $65 million on the table, grant money.
Yes.
That you do not have to pay back, okay, if you are eligible. And this is the minority and small business grants are for businesses with 25 or fewer employees. Yes. So truly small businesses, okay. And you know, I know there was a question about well, what if there's only a couple of us or whatever. Again, all of the guidelines are in are listed on that website. You just, if you have to take a Saturday or evening or whatever, get you a cup of coffee and your paperwork and, just go through everything. We're here to answer as many questions as we can according to the information that's provided. Again, however, we cannot fill the applications out for you or direct you in any way to put anything on the apps. But if you need some help, make sure you call that hotline number, which is 803-670-5170, the South Carolina Cares Call Center. They are open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it looks like they're not open on the weekends. So this weekend is a good time for you to get your paperwork together,
Yeah.
And then, Monday, make a phone call so that you can start the application process. And this app will be available through, I think it's November 2nd.
November the 1st.
Okay, November the 1st. Okay.
And Sunday is over. Everything is closed down. And, and the unique thing is that once you apply by December the 5th, the application will be going through the process, and they will definitely be awarding people before the end of the year.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So you could definitely get that money and shore up for your holiday business or whatever it is you need to do and get ready for 2021. So yeah. So like Coretta says, get those grants. Such a great opportunity. And it really is. And, we hear it all the time. Our businesses, especially minority owned, Black owned businesses, small businesses, they're always asking, where the funding resources. Well, here's a great one, grant related. And so please take advantage of it. And so, Tim, I just wanted to bring you on to make sure everybody understands your role in this and what you're doing in the community. Your role with the commission, and also, continue to do the great work that you're doing as well.
And thank you, and Doc, for continue doing the great work. Doc, I think I got to come see my doctor soon.
Oh, you think?
Yeah. Thanks, Doc.
All right, yeah. Well, make sure you do that, Tim. Okay.
Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, Doc. So we've covered a lot today. COVID-19 updates and medical minute. Had some folks from the community to come and talk to us about events and programs that benefit just everyone, really. Everyone.
Yeah.
Not just the Black community, but this platform does target the Black community, and we want to thank everyone who's working hard within our community to create all of these wonderful opportunities. And so if you're watching, if you're listening or what have you, and you have some community events or programs you're working on, you're involved with organizations that have great programs, either social or economic programs that we need to know about, get in touch with me, and I'll be more than happy to send you a link any Friday to invite you to hang out with the Doc and I, and we can make it happen. So Doc, any parting words on COVID and anything else we covered today?
No, I mean, just, the main thing is just making sure that, everybody's just protecting themselves. I mean, that's the main thing that I can say. The numbers are going to go up. I mean, it's going to go up. I mean, we knew that was going to happen regardless, just because of it never really flattened out in the first place. Mm-hmm. So again, just being careful, being mindful, protect yourself. Typically what we do is we kind of lead with some information where, worldwide, over 31 million people have recovered from COVID. United States, over 5.6 million people have recovered. South Carolina, only, over 84,000 people have recovered. So people will recover, but there, as the number goes up, the hospitalizations will go up, likely the deaths will go up. We just want to try to minimize that and get this curve flattened to make people understand masks still save lives. Social physical distancing adds to that life-saving thing. So just be careful.
Absolutely. Be very careful. So make sure that you, if you're going out and about, enjoying some of these festivities and, just taking care of your day-to-day, mask up, wash your hands, social distancing, all of the above at all times. And of course, we want you to get out and vote.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Vote. Again, Saturday, absentee voting at the Horry County Voter Registration Election Office at 1515 4th Avenue in Conway this Saturday and next Saturday. Make it happen. Yes, there you go. Hey, show up. We checked the first one off. We registered. Now it's time to show up and vote. That's
there
right.
We go.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go.
It's Mary Pryor for that one. That was awesome.
Thank you, Miss Mary. I appreciate you.
That was
appreciate
awesome.
you kindly.
Yes, and Sean, we're glad you voted. We hope that everyone follows suit, fam. Yes, thank you.
My brother.
York. We appreciate you watching today. And Miss Coretta, thank you for hanging out with us. Absolutely. That's right. No hidden agenda, just being real. And that's what this is all about. So Thank you all. Spread the word. We'll be back next Friday, 4 p.m. if God says so and the creek don't rise, as we always say.
Yes.
And other than that, stay safe and God bless.
Take care.
Right.
No.